Hey, Mr. Boss. Yeah, I'm busy. What? The Snow White trailer has over 1 million downvotes on YouTube. What? Why? People really don't like what Rachel Zegler said about Snow White. Why can't people get over that? They said they wanted dwarves. We gave them dwarves. It cost a fortune in CGI. I'm sorry, sir, but people really don't like Rachel Zegler and what she said. Well, those people are just misogynists and racists and bigots. Statistically, sir, that's just not true. I have charts here saying— Forget the charts! BlackRock Larry is not gonna be happy about this. Well, what should we do, sir? Fine. The bigots have forced my hand. Put Luke Skywalker in Galaxy's Edge. That'll get the man-babies to shut up. We already have, sir. You what? Yeah, we deployed Luke Skywalker to Galaxy's Edge last week. There was a trailer and everything. And? No one cares. They made fun of us on Twitter. Son of a... Welcome to The Pondering. I am the real-life fake wizard. If this video brings you any value at all, or you feel like you learned something, consider subscribing to this channel where we're posting new videos just about every day. Hollywood loves its adaptations. Video game companies love adaptations. And adapting works can be defined in many ways now. Sometimes it's as simple as taking a novel and turning it into a screenplay for a film. But I believe that sequels to legacy property media can also be defined as adaptations. Adaptation means to change, typically in the form of changing to fit one's surroundings. Well, just because something is a sequel doesn't mean the property itself remains unchanged. Countless franchises have been inherited by stewards that radically alter and adapt the context of the franchise's world to fit their own prerogatives. I believe that these are adaptations, and I think adaptations are destroying not only entertainment, but storytelling itself. Over the last 100 years and more, we've seen entertainment companies secure the rights to produce films and media based on books, taking inspiration from works that influence the culture and finding new ways to make money on the same stories again and again and again. This Snow White with Rachel Zegler film is not just an adaptation of the classic Disney animation. That cartoon movie is an adaptation from a German fairy tale from the 19th century. And so, since the 19th century, writers have told the story of Snow White again and again. Sometimes these retellings are great, like the 1937 Walt Disney film, and sometimes the writing is on the wall and we all know this adaptation will be garbage, like right here, right now, in 2025. But I believe that adaptations are actually more than the book-to-film transition. I believe that passing legacy properties off to new stewards who seek to redefine what made that property a legacy to begin with is a form of bastardizing adaptation. You look at something like Star Wars, and I feel like we've talked about this to death, but the original 6 films do not feel the same as the 3 sequel films from Disney. There's a fundamental shift in perspective. Certainly, there's a decline in writing, but moreover, there's a difference in morality. There's a difference in defining heroism, and that difference is meant to change how one perceives the original 6 films altogether. It's an adaptation of the Star Wars lore, but it's also a continuation meant to make alterations to the original films themselves. And it didn't stop with the 3 sequel films. When you look at Ahsoka and The Acolyte, even The Mandalorian, these shows continued to be sequel adaptations that draw attention and significance away from the original 6 movies. Even if that's not what they're intended to do, though I believe they are. That's exactly why they're there. And this isn't just with Star Wars. Star Trek has the same problem. Lord of the Rings has the same problem. Transformers, Jurassic Park, superheroes. Even The Last Airbender got an adaptation that is not nearly as satisfying as the original animation. And so we live in a cycle of adaptations and sequels, constantly watching as beloved franchises are passed off to stewards who are driven by political ideology or malevolence towards the audience, or they are just straight up incompetent. And what's scary is that most entertainment creatives are a variety of all 3. It really just depends on the day. Can you honestly say you have the same emotional connection to something like Marvel heroes anymore? I certainly used to. I know so much about the Marvel heroes, and I used to care deeply about the MCU because I loved the classic stories from the comic books. And for a while, things were great. Phases 1 through 3 weren't perfect, but they were fun, man. And they were all connected, and they gave you a reason to care, especially if you were a comic book nerd like me. But you look at the state of things today, and in a few days, we're getting a Captain America movie that doesn't have Steve Rogers in it. It's filled with Hulk villains, and it looks like it has no heart at all. It's not there to be a Captain America film. It's not there to honor the character or the legacy. It's there to be corporate product. It's an adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation, and you can multiply that out 1,000 times and you'll come to the same conclusions. The stories that are being marketed to us now are no longer art. They're no longer intended to excite you or inspire you. They are fast food burgers and fries, here one instant, gone in a flash. There's no reason to feel emotionally invested because these products are not made with heart. They're being made to check boxes and fill wallets. There's nothing original in entertainment today. But further than that, there's nothing good being made either. It's not just that things are bad or that you didn't enjoy them. The products that companies are making are antithetical to goodness. Whether it be Captain America on the big screen or Dragon Age Veilguard on your home screen, the result is the same. The creative stewards who are pioneering our age of stories are not just destroying beloved heroes, they are damaging and destroying storytelling itself. Human beings need stories. It's how we function. It's how we perceive reality. Everything that gives life meaning is the story we tell ourselves. Your family is devised of a collection of stories. Our beliefs that we live by are a narrative of stories. Science and mathematics are the pursuit of explaining the story of existence. And right now, stories and storytelling itself is what's under attack. Not Luke Skywalker, not Indiana Jones, not Captain America, or the Avengers, or Superman, or Dungeons and Dragons, or Halo, or whatever. It's deeper than that. We all talk about these things on the surface level. I can't believe they made The Acolyte. Yeah, I can't either. But it wasn't made in good faith to honor George Lucas's films. It was made to undermine them. It was made to weaken them, to devalue the emotional connection we have for heroes. The fundamental values in the stories that we have defined our culture with is what is under attack. It's just beneath the surface of being Star Wars or Star Trek or Doctor Who. It's the story itself. With every single adaptation that modern creative stewards produce, we get one step further away from the significance of the original story. Look at Rings of Power. 2 or 3 generations from now, normie parents are going to tell their children that Rings of Power is a faithful adaptation of Tolkien's books because they won't know any better. Because we didn't fight back. Because in 2 or 3 or 4 generations, when we're dead, what's left? What did we leave behind except the destruction of human expression through storytelling? And here's another example my Christian friends can appreciate: the story of Jesus Christ's birth. And whether you yourself are Christian or not, this point is very important, so check this out. Look at this Netflix Mary film from 2024. This movie is not very good and not faithful to the source material, but it's a nativity adaptation, yet it embellishes narratively in places where it tries to exist on its own merits. And it's an adaptation of biblical scripture. And if the nativity story is either the first or second most important event in the entire Christian faith, and this sloppy girl-bossing modern telling doesn't do it justice, then that's not fair to the original story itself. For a story that's so important, don't people who've never heard it before deserve to experience it at its best? If human beings are creatures of story and belief, then having companies whose job it is to be the storytellers of this age continue to reduce the value of stories of humanity down for the sake of content it will not have good consequences for our future. Eventually, you and I will be dead. Our children will be dead. What does the generation after that have to look back on? 2025 Snow White? Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Dragon Age Veilguard? What is it that we're leaving behind? Adaptation after adaptation of mediocre storytelling that's meant to devalue human beliefs, human morality, the virtues of real heroes. And I'm not even talking about the nativity story alone here. I mean the stories of heroes are being scrubbed from existence with every modern day retelling of every major franchise. And the culprits of this heinous act are corporations. That is why the catchphrase for my channel is cancel Disney+. Disney is a general on the battlefield for this bastardization of storytelling. They're some of the greatest offenders, and they've made it clear that they're very much over-leveraged with their Disney Plus platform. Never have I seen a company so vulnerable before and so weak. Most people know that Disney Plus shows are mediocre, but there are still millions of subscribers, and because they're weak, Disney is doing everything they can to pad the numbers. They claim there are hundreds of millions of users in their streaming business because the number includes ESPN and Hulu customers. And I'm telling you that if you choose individually, singularly, to cancel your Disney Plus subscription, real change could be made. If you want video games to get better, if you want entertainment to course correct, if you want positive values to return to the stories we love, we, the free market, have to do something about it. And I've never ever seen a moment where a company is so exposed to collapse. Not that the entire company would need to go belly up, though that would be wonderful to see. A few days ago, Disney announced they lost 700,000 Disney Plus users in Q4 of 2024, and they expect more losses in Q1 of this year. Do you know what happened? The stock price dropped. Now imagine if that number keeps declining. Imagine that they report losses quarter after quarter on Disney Plus. It won't matter that they're turning a profit in their combined streaming business because the very platform they've sunk billions upon billions of dollars into has failed. They have failed. And with that, everyone will know that it was the free market fighting back and saying no. No more. No more trying to tell us what to think and how to feel. You, the company, work for me, the customer. And though a message like this would never go mainstream, if I can inspire a handful of you to realize there is work to be done and that the best way to fight back is to fight back with your wallet, but also by educating yourself, finding new ways to be creative and tell stories on your own, then it was all worth it. If Disney Plus falls, the world will change. Tying this all up, I'd be remiss to say there haven't been at least a handful of good adaptations. The Netflix One Piece show comes to mind, but one good one in a sea of slop just isn't good enough. We need to be the change we want to see. So, if you're looking for a community of like-minded folks, consider joining my Discord server. You could get there by visiting fakewizard.com. There will be a link there to join. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, you cancel Disney Plus. My voice is so hoarse from this one, and I don't know why. But it's really gonna be gravelly. This is a very Harrison Ford video. Who shot first, Han Solo or Greedo? I don't care.